Okay guys, what I'm going to do is work through some of the problems that are in the Hawks homework for section 3.5 so that you have an idea of what to do. I will complete the problems on this screen, which is the whiteboard, and then I will go back to this screen. I'll show you how to type your answers in and make sure that this makes sense and make sure that you have a good grip on what you're doing. So here we go. So the first question we have is 2x plus 3y is less than 6. And again, since this is an inequality, my goal is to graph this thing and shade it accordingly. However, the first thing I need to do is make sure this is in slope-intercept form. So 3y is less than negative 2x plus 6. I will be needing to divide everything by 3. Okay, and that will leave me with y is less than negative 2/3 x plus 2. My slope in this instance is negative 2/3. My y-intercept, remember to write that as a point, is 0, 2. Because this inequality symbol is just a single symbol, this will be a dashed line. And since we read this as y is less than, we will shade below. And so now we have all the information that we need, and we will go back and we will type this answer into Hawks the correct way. So we had said it was going to be a dashed line. We know that the intercept is 0, 2, so we can get that in there. And then using our slope, which we said was, I forget, negative 2/3. From this point, we will go down 2 and write 3. And so we will say 0, 3, 0, is a second point. And here's my line. And we discussed that since it was less than, we were going to shade below. In this case, region A is shaded below. And then we click submit our answer. And there we go. Next. Okay, so the same type of question. We will get back to the drawing board and give this one a go. So I need to clear this out so we can start again. And so we have 5y minus 4x is greater than 20. And so again, here we go, getting this thing into slope-intercept form by adding 4x to both sides. So 5y is greater than 4x plus 20. Excuse the dog in the background. Divide everything by 5. And that will give me y is greater than 4/5 x plus 4. This is my slope-intercept form. From this instance, my slope is 4/5. My intercept as a point is 0, 4. Again, based on this inequality symbol, this will be a dashed line. And since it says y is greater than, since it says y is greater than, I will need to shade above. And so now I have all of my information, and I will go back to the Hawks. We will type all of this in, complete our graph, and make sure we have a nice answer. So we know that the intercept is 0, 4, so we can go ahead and type that in there. And of course, that'll give us our dot. We also mentioned this was going to be a dashed line. And so from the dot 0, 4, we said the slope was 4/5. So we can go up 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then right 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And that will give us the point 5, 8. So 5, 8. And from there, we said that this was going to be greater than, and so we will need to be shading above. In this instance, above is B. And so we click B and we submit our answer. Perfect. Now, let's see if we can find one that has an and or an or something like that. Yes. So the next one has 2 pieces. I need to write these down real quick. And you're noticing that this is separated with an or. And so, like we mentioned in the notes and in the PowerPoint, the word or means union. And so we were going to go back and do both of these. We will be putting this on the same graph, and we will see what happens when we have these 2 problems. So the first one I'll do in red is negative 3y is less than 4x plus 18. And then I have the word or, and then I'll use blue, and I had 5y is greater than or equal to 2x minus 15. Okay, so over here the y is already by itself, and so I need to divide everything by negative 3. That will give me y. Remember, when you divide by a negative, you have to flip the inequality symbol. my slope will be negative 4/3 x, and 18 divided by negative 3 is negative 6. So here's my slope-intercept formula of the first one. My slope is negative 4/3, and my intercept is 0, negative 6. Because this is a single inequality symbol, I know I will have a dashed line. Because it is read y is greater than, I will shade above. All right, let's go ahead and complete the second one. Same idea here. The y rather is already by itself, so I will divide every single piece by the number 5. That will leave me with y is greater than or equal to 2/5 x minus 3. 3. And so here's my slope-intercept form, and in this instance, my slope is 2/5. My intercept as a point is 0, negative 3. Based on this inequality symbol, because it's what we call a double inequality symbol, this will be a solid line. And since it says y is greater than or equal to, once again, I'm going to shade above. All right, now take a second and look over this. And then we will move on. I just have to jot this down. Okay, and so we will go back to Hawks. We'll type this in. We'll see what happens. So it's asking me right now to graph the first linear inequality, which was the one that we had done in red. And so we had said on the red one that it was going to be a dashed line and that the intercept was 0, negative 6. And so I will get that on there. And we also said the slope was negative 4/3, which means down and left. But I'm going to run out of space. So instead of going down 4 and no, I'm sorry, I misspoke. It's down and right. Instead of going down and right, I'm going to go up and left. So I'm going to start at this point, and I'm going to go up 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And then from there, I'm going to go to the left 3. 1, 2, 3. And this is the point, negative 3, negative 2. So I will type negative 3. And there's my line. And we said that we were going to shade above it. So in this instance, above is A. And we submit this part of our answer. And then it's going to give me part 2. And step 2 says for me to graph the second inequality. And if you remember, you go back to the drawing board here, the second inequality is the one that we did in blue. And so now we had said on it that the intercept was going to be 0, 3. And we had mentioned that since the inequality symbol was double, it was going to be a solid line. And we also got the slope to be 2/5. And so from here, I'm going to go up 2, so 1, 2, and over 5, which is going to put me at the point 5, 5. Okay, so there's my second point, there's my line, and we said we were going to shade above. In this case, above happens to be D. And so we will submit this. Oh no! Well, let's try again. 0, 3, and we said the slope was 2, 1, 2. Oh, the intercept should be negative 3. See right here? My negative sign is terrible, but it is right there. So let me run back real quick to my graph. So I need to try this again. This needs to be 0, negative 3. And then, of course, that will change this second point. So for my intercept of 0, negative 3, I'm going to go up 2, so 1, 2, and then to the right 5, which gives me the point 5, negative 1. Okay, 5, negative 1. And again, we had said above, so we have to change, and we're going to shade above here. And then we will click submit. Okay, now what's going to happen is step 3, it wants me to select the graph and the option that describes the overall solution set. Well, since at the tip top right here, since it says the word or, we are looking for the union. And so we will click the union. And what happens is this populated color on the right-hand side, this would be both graphs on the same picture, and every piece of shaded material would be shaded again. And so now we will click submit our answer, and now we are finished. All right, this will be the last one that I'm going to do with you to show you what an and looks like. And so in this particular problem, we have two pieces that are conjoined with the word and probably something that you know right off the bat is that on this one, on the one on the right, there's not even a y here. So let's see what that's going to make us do. So let me get a fresh page here. And let me jot these down. I'll do them in different colors again. And so the first one that we had was 2x plus 2y is less than 4. And then we had the word and which we know and means intersection, and we had x was greater than or equal to 2. So in this first one, let's go ahead and get it in slope-intercept form by subtracting 2x from both sides. And so that will give me 2y is less than negative 2x plus 4. I will divide every single piece by the number 2, and that will leave me with y is less than negative x plus 2. And so there's my slope-intercept form. From this, I know my slope is negative 1 over 1. I know my y-intercept as a point is 0, 2. Since this is a single inequality symbol, this will be a dashed line. And since I read this as y is less than, I will shade below. Okay, and so now let's take a peek over here at the blue one. We have x is greater than or equal to 2. Since it's just x, that should tell you right off the bat that this is a vertical line. And it's going to somehow look like this. Okay, and so because of our inequality symbol, because it's the double inequality symbol, we know it's going to be solid. And since this says x is greater than or equal to, we're going to be shading above. However, you see the word above in quotes. Basically, in this instance, above is going to mean to the right. It means where the numbers are actually greater than. And so what we'll do now is we will go back and we will put this in Hawks and we'll see what the and is going to look like. All right, so again, the step number 1 of 3, it says to go ahead and graph the first one. And we have discussed that this will be a dashed line, and that the intercept is going to be 0, 2. And so there's my intercept. We also mentioned that the slope was negative 1 over 1, which means down 1 and right 1. And so this particular point is the point 1, 1. And so there's my line. And we said, we said we were going to be shading below on this one. And so we will do that. And in this case, A represents below. We will submit our answer. Okay, and then step 2, we will graph the second inequality, which again, we mentioned already, is going to just be a vertical line. Because of this inequality symbol, we know it's solid. We know one of the points is definitely going to be x equals 2, and so that's going to be the point 2, 0. And then basically we're just going to pick another point. So how about 2, negative 2? We need the x values to be 2, and we need y values to be something else. And since we had mentioned that we were shading above, in this instance we said it was going to be towards the right, and so we click letter D, and there it is shaded above. And so we submit that, and then we say, okay, well, step 3 is now going to be us finding, in this case, the word and, which means intersection. When we click this ratio button, or this button rather, you're going to notice that just a teeny tiny piece of the graph is colored. If we would have actually drawn these out on paper, you would know that below this line right here would be shaded one color, and over here to the right of this line would be shaded a different color. And so the only places where these two guys meet is right here in region 1. And so this teeny tiny region, that is their intersection. And so now we will click submit answer, and we're good to go. Okay, guys, there's several examples. I think you've got probably a pretty good grip on this. Please reach out to me on the discussion board or Remind or Big Blue Button and let me know how it's going. Thanks.